Hey y'all, welcome back to the garage, welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to our GMC Sierra OBS. It's what a lot of people refer to them as. And this is our budget build. If I didn't explain that in the last video, it is a budget build and we've been keeping track of every dime that we've spent on it so far. So let's go take a look at the list. Let's see how much we've spent. Bought the truck for $4,500. We bought the fuel spider that goes underneath the intake manifold for $600. That was factory OEM part. Same thing with the fuel pump. I had a windshield done for $325, which I found really cheap. That was a huge improvement, as you saw in the thumbnail. The ignition starter switch, Freon, which didn't cost anything whatsoever. Shocks $198, exhaust $165. The HVAC control panel on the dash. Now, this was something that when I knew I had to replace it, I started looking on eBay, I started looking on some different websites, and I saw them everywhere from like $179 up to like $250. Well, I took a little trip over to Amazon and found the exact same one for this truck. Paid $54 for it, which I thought was super reasonable. The interior headlight switch in the dash as well, that was $20. A 4-inch rear lowering kit, which I'm going to end up returning that because I need a 6-inch door handles. I found door handles on Amazon. They're metal with the bezels. I'm going to show them to you here in a second. Both sides, and I think I paid 20 bucks for them. And we'll show them to you in a second. The hood and the wiper arms, I traded that for that old cowl hood that was on here, and then I bought a gallon of a 2K filler primer for $140, and so far we have a grand total of $6,124 and smiley faces. So at this point, as clean as the truck is, which you saw in the last episode, as well as it drives, to be into it $6,124, I would say we're in pretty good shape, especially for a budget build. Now, because this is a budget build, and the thought process one is that it would be a hobby car for someone, or maybe this would be something like a first car, and this would be a son and father project. So in doing that, I've kept it as simple as possible. Now, the only time that I've used an air sander on this was on the hood, and that was to take it down as far as I could with 80 grit so that I could get some good coats of primer on here. And if you remember, there was a significant amount of hail damage on this truck, especially on flat surfaces, so I wanted to get a lot of primer onto it. And the only other time that I've used any air tool so far has been applying the primer to it. Other than that, I have been doing this whole vehicle by hand. These are pretty much the major tools that I'm using. I'm using this is a hard block, but it is flexible. It does have some give to it. This is a soft block. It's got two different hardness. That's why it's light color on bottom, dark on top. The dark on top is kind of like this block here, and then the lighter color is really soft. That's so you can do edges and what have you. And then this is another Dura block, and I've cut this down over the years, to this size, but I'll put links to all of these where you can get them on Amazon. And after I've laid the primer, basically my sandpaper and those 3 blocks is the only thing that I've used on this truck. Even some dents where I had to do some body filler, which there was a couple in the door panel, and especially around these door handles. These door handles are terrible. These trucks are kind of like Bodywork in a tin can. They're not super thick, is what I'm trying to say. But keep that budget build in mind. I wanted somebody to see what you can do with just a matter of some sanding blocks, and then, of course, if you guys been tuning into the channel, I use those Kirkland microfibers. Those things are so important to have a really good microfiber towel. Those are stitched. They come in a package of 36. I'll put some links to those. And then other than that, all I've been using is basically a Sharpie, so that anytime that I'm walking around the truck and the lights are reflecting on it, I can see any dents. And you see, I still have some spots marked. There's some chips right there. Ooh, I should get rid of that boom mic and cast a terrible shadow. A little bit of a low spot there. Here towards the front, whole bunch of chips that got to be filled. But other than that, it is coming out really good. And all I'm using is those blocks, some glass cleaner, those Kirklands. Oh, like I said, I was going to show those to you. I think you can pick those up on Amazon, and I'll put a link to those down below. But let's move on to these $20 door handles. So check these out. They are metal. They came with the bezel, so I gotta swap the lock over to them. But for 20 bucks, you can't beat those for a metal door handle. Are they perfect? No, but hey, we're not gonna poke fun at them. Just like we're not gonna poke fun at your buck-tooth sister. That's not true. We're totally gonna make fun of her. That shit's funny. Hopping inside the truck, there is our new light switch. Now our headlights and our dome light and everything, the dimmer works like we want it to. Over here, that is our Amazon HVAC control panel. Works great. Can't complain about that. Not for $54. I cannot complain about that item. Then we put the new ignition switch in there, and other than that, I think that was it. And I'll put links to those panels and switches and these door handles that I picked up off of Amazon. So if you need to replace yours, there you go. You got some. And let's go back talking about the bodywork. As I mentioned before, because this hood was super rough, paint was peeling, it was in really tough shape. The only time I used my big air compressor was to use a DA and take this down with 80 grit. Other than that, the only time that I've used any air tools, and I've used my my D1 Drizzle, and we're going to talk a little bit about this gun and what a great value that is, because this gun has replaced all my other guns. I have thousands of dollars worth of spray guns, and this thing sprays better than every single one of them. And it comes as a kit, so you get 3 different size needle and caps. I think it's like 116 or 120 bucks. Matter of fact, somebody I know was having some paint problems. I mentioned this to him, and he's already ordered one, and I guarantee this gun is going to solve his problems. Not only that, you don't have to invest in a huge air compressor. You can run this gun off one of those little pancake compressors. This thing is awesome. So as far as the body work on the hood, I still have some spots that you can see that I have all marked that need a little bit of work. I may end up primering this hood one more time and wet sanding it just to get rid of all of those. There are quite a few, and they're not deep enough. They're really not dents. It's more like blemishes. You can see it's not affecting the reflection very much, but it's just enough that if I run another 1 or 2 coats over the hood and I wet sand this all down nice, I'm gonna have a really nice looking hood. And again, it's something you can do with just those 3 blocks. And again, if you don't have a huge compressor, you can run a gun like that off of a pancake. With glass cleaner, it doesn't have to be Rain-X, it can be Windex, it can be Armor. I use whatever's cheapest on the shelf, right? And then what I do is during the blocking process, which if you've been blocking for a while, you can feel it, you can hear it. When you're doing the blocking, you know when you've pretty much got your panel about straight. But if you want to check it for reflection without making a huge investment into wax and grease removers and sprayers and things like that, I just use glass cleaner, and I'm going to show you how I do it. Give it a quick spray down with my glass cleaner. That stuff was pretty cheap, and it's a whole lot cheaper than wax and grease. And I'm not trying to dry it off, I'm just trying to get all the droplets smoothed out. And the glass cleaner will keep this wet enough. So, hopefully I can do this quickly enough. You can get down and look at the reflection off of different things in your shop and look for any waves and things like that. And it'll give you a couple of minutes that you can do this and really check it out. Probably help if I shut that light off on top. And that's a quick and easy way to do it, especially if you're at this point and you don't want to throw guide code all over it. That's a good way to go. So anyhow, we are gonna hope, and this is the third time I've tried shooting this video, and the audio has been absolutely trash every single solitary time. So we're gonna hope that we have it this time. But hey, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tune in while we start making more progress on this truck and see where it goes from here.